Good evening and welcome to round 3 of the Formula 3 League, live and exclusive on iRacing Twitch UK channel. Brought to you live via iRacing, the world's premier motorsport simulator. Now, who are iRacing UK? We are a community of enthusiastic and inclusive racers from across the UK who like to run social races, practice sessions, leagues, but most importantly, share our experiences and our passion for sim racing. I am Nick Allen, and tonight I'm joined by Chris Rowlands for his favourite kind of action. That's right, it's open wheelers. Now, we are going to be bringing you all this action from a track that I'm sure a lot of our drivers and viewers will be very, very familiar with. That's right, we're here at Spa-Francorchamps, where hundreds of laps have been turned, maybe even thousands for all I know, over the course of this weekend, because we've just recently had the Spa 24-hour race that's happened at this circuit, an official iRacing event that I'm sure a number of people have decided to participate in, whether it be their first time or whether as veterans. And I hope that everyone's had a great Spa 24-hour weekend. I know that for a fact that the iRacing UK community have run a number of teams this weekend with varying degrees of success, but nonetheless a great event to be part of if you're in the community, and something that we really promote as a group. Now, Chris, it feels like some time since you and I were last here in the comms booth for season 1 of the Formula 3, and I must admit, I was looking at the practice lap times, and I noticed that one of our old favourites from season 1, Matt Lucia, seems to be lacking a little bit in pace compared to some of his competitors this evening. Is that something you've noticed in previous races? I'm seeing some names that we are familiar with, like Jerome Lamy, who's just topped the qualifying times here this evening. So I say that he's just been taken over by Sam Hermner.
Sam Hermer is seasons 2's Matt Laubscher. That's the main context you need in terms of who's leading the championship. Matt, I think, only did race 1 and was caught up in an incident near the start, so he actually finished last in the only race he's been in. So it's a complete turnaround in fortunes for him. But in practice earlier, as you say, I think he was only about 12th place. I wouldn't say Matt's gone he's not any slower than he was. He's still a top quality driver. It's just everyone else has stepped up. I mean, especially look at some of the names like Jerome Lamy, as you say. He's been right up the top in the last few races. Josh Wilson, when he's been able to get here, has been right up the top. James Cockram got a very good podium last time out after sort of, averaging about 7th, 8th place last season. So he's really stepped it up too. We've actually got, I think, the biggest ever grid we've had for a Formula 3 race with iRacing UK. We've currently got 34 drivers in session. So it's probably a good thing we're at a nice big circuit like Spa with its 2-minute 9.5 lap if you're Sam Hermer.
Absolutely, and Sam currently topping the tables at the moment. Now, as I look a little bit further down the qualifying screen, we've got Jerome Lamy, who was just mentioned, in 2nd place. And Jerome, one of the really fighty drivers who unfortunately I think he came into a bit of bad luck at points with pit lane errors and some other things. So unfortunately, Jerome wasn't able to top the tables necessarily in the last season. But really great to see him running quickly here tonight. Spa. Now we're currently just watching the qualifying. Now we've got 2 minutes of qualifying time left for these drivers to set a lap before we go into a race. Now the race I'll tell you a little bit about now. It's about a half an hour race with no pit stops. We've put 100% fuel on these cars, so there's no required pit stop unless you decide to put a wheel up the inside on a corner that you shouldn't and maybe get yourself into a bit of bother. But no worry about that, because there is one fast repair for these drivers. So even if they do encounter a bit of wheel-to-wheel or too close wheel-to-wheel action, they'll be able to go back, get a quick repair, and then get themselves back on the track. Now, just a little bit of a view of what the evening looks like. Now, these drivers have had an open practice session available to them from 8 o'clock this evening, and now the qualifying starting at 5 to 9, running until 10 past. And the race will be kicking off, obviously, at 10 past. As we said, it'll be about half an hour. The lap times at the minute in the 2-minute 9 to 10 kind of range, which means that we'll probably get the 13 laps done in a reasonable time this evening. So plenty of action to be had in a very short space of time in very racy, high downforce cars. I'm expecting to see some action, Chris. And I mean, based on what I've been able to see just in obviously this practice session, but also looking at some of the clips that have been coming out on iRacing subreddit, for example. Oh, there goes Josh Wilson having a bit of an error there into the bus stop in the qualifying. Now, this is an open qualifying session, so people can obviously have a bit of draft if they need to. They can take advantage of their competitors on the track to try and make a bit of difference to those lap times. So we'll see who that works out for as the session goes on. But from all the clips that I've seen of Formula 3 at Spa in the last week, it's either been fantastic wheel-to-wheel action throughout the various kind of S's and the flows through Spa. But the other side of this, obviously, is that there's some really, really high risk points in this circuit. I mean, La Source is an easy place for these cars to pile up accidentally. And we've also got the likes of Radion and Eau Rouge, as we just see now. We're watching Rudy Marais just heading up the hill. He's just parked it there actually on the side. But Radion Eau Rouge, the top of that hill, a little bit of a lift sometimes could obviously really make a big difference to whether or not you get caught up in any of the palaver that tends to happen at the top of the hill. So let's see if we get any such kind of action this evening. Hopefully we'll have a nice clean run through lap 1 and we'll see all the drivers get through. But as you said, with a large grid full of delicate Formula 3 cars, there's every chance that we'll see a bit of action and a bit of damage. Now, qualifying's over now. We've got our lineup, and it looks like Sam Hermer has managed to top the table. So great result there from Sam with a 2-minute 9:56, and then Jerome Lamy not far behind him with a 2-minute 9:74. So the cars will be going to the grid shortly, and what we'll do now is we'll run you through the entire order. So in first, Samuel Hermer; second, Jerome Lamy; in third, it looks like we've currently got Stuart Milne, and then in fourth, Matt Lubscher. Now, Josh Wilson, I can see still out on track at the moment, possibly just finishing a lap. He's currently running in fifth, car number 5 in fifth, and then he's followed by Reece Saunders, Nathaniel Simpson, Sean Barnett, Lee Aberdeen, Alex Hopkins, Ryan Annals, Dare Flock, and then we've also got Rudy Marais up in the mix there as well. Following on from those guys, we've got James Cockram, Chris Foskett, Mitchell Webb, Nathan Willoughby, Patrick Bennett, Duncan Roberts, Stephen Inskip, Ryan Empingham. Lots of names here that we haven't seen before in obviously the first season of Formula 3, and a whole lot of names that we do recognise. Now, Lee Aberdeen, there's a name that you'll recognise, Chris, from our time together running in the Radicals League. Lee, we know, is an incredibly quick driver in some of these high downforce cars. So I was quite surprised to see him at the lower end of the top 10, to be honest. Is that a surprise for you?
He's a little bit out of position. He's been challenging for podiums in the previous races. I mean, Sam Hermer, who's got pole again today, really seems to be in a class of his own, which, when you consider the skill of the drivers directly behind him, really reflects very well on Hermer. But I'd look at that whole top 10. I mean, well, the whole grid, really. There's people throughout it that could put some really fantastic laps together. The nature of the open qualifying means that people can still finish their laps. I think we've still got Leslie Griffin out on track. So we are still in the qualifying session. The other one I wanted to point out, see where he's gone, actually. Oh, it was Reece Saunders, who actually managed to make it into 6th in the end, with his 4th and final lap, because he's been regularly competing in the broadcast splits for the official races on the Saturday and doing really well there. So I think he was down, not even set a time yet. So that could have been a very interesting push through the field, because he is one of the quickest drivers on the grid, as shown by his 6th place. Although we were talking Matt Laubscher down, he's managed to get himself up to 4th there. So
4th position now. So he's made his way up the order, and maybe he heard us with a bit of a bit of unfortunate bad mouthing perhaps. But glad to provide the motivation for you there, Matt. Hopefully we see you have a fantastic race this evening. We'll be watching you very, very closely throughout the evening. Now, Chris, personally, I love Spa. I've really enjoyed it. I haven't had a chance to race here for a while. Any particular points on the track that you're looking out for this evening that you think we're going to see the best moments? We obviously already mentioned Radion Eau Rouge and La Source. Is there any other points where you think we might see some awesome racing?
I think we're going to see awesome racing around the entire circuit, which is a bit of a cop-out, I appreciate. We're actually, I believe it's the Grand Prix pit layout or the Classic pits. We're starting after La Source, as far as I'm aware. So we're going to have a shorter run with fewer corners up through Kemmel. So lap 1, hopefully, there'll be a little bit less chaos. So as you mentioned earlier, we've seen plenty of chaos in the last few rounds and weeks of Spa here. So it's kind of anyone's guess. I think you want to be clean, but at the same time, like the low downforce setup is kind of mandatory if you want to be able to overtake because of these long straights. But then you're so vulnerable around the midfield part of the track, especially those high speed corners. You can lose it so easily with the cold tyres. So I think, especially on laps 1, 2, and 3, we are going to see probably some incidents. I doubt there's going to be any deliberate wrecking, but it will just be these drivers pushing to the absolute limit.
Brilliant stuff. Thanks very much for that, Chris. So just waiting for the drivers to grid up now. Looks like we're just waiting for Josh Wilson, Reece Saunders, Sean Barnett, and a few others. If you're watching us this evening on the Twitch chat channel, obviously drop us a comment there in the chat. We'll be looking out for who you think is going to be the winner tonight, who's going to prevail, and who's going to have the best race. Let's see if we've got some absolute heroes in here, because we know for a fact that there's some people that can have great races and make their way all the way up the grid from the back in some cases. So let's see if there's anybody here that manages to get that kind of race. Now I can see that we've got the lights about to go out now, and there's 3, 4, and 5 lights. Chris, I don't know if you're looking at the grid at the moment, but they are going to be off. Here we go with Sam Hermer at the front with a great start, and it looks to me like Jerome Lamy's also got a good start there with Stuart Milne putting the pressure on as they go too wide in some cases there up the hill. But it looks to me like Sam Hermer had a great start there, but he's going to be under extreme pressure with people who've got the slipstream here. And look at that, there goes Jerome Lamy up the outside there. He's going to be pushing his way up the Kemmel Straight here as they head into Les Combes. Let's see who comes out on top. He's got the inside line now, and that's Jerome Lamy looking like he might be ahead, but no, he's not quite done the job now. It's Sam Hermer who's going to be fighting hard for that position. He's still on the inside, but I think Jerome Lamy's got the edge now, and he's made it ahead as they go down the hill now into the downhill section here through Les Combes and into Riviage. So brilliant stuff there, obviously from Jerome Lamy. He's got a great start, and he's starting to grow a little bit of a gap from Sam there, and a number of cars there behind him just absolutely nose to tail, clean onto the gearbox of one another. Particularly, we're just looking here now at Lee Aberdeen, who is trying to get his way through the pack. It looks like he's having a bit of a battle here ahead with Stuart Milne. Is he going to be able to do something about this? I don't know. I don't think he is on this occasion, as we watch now Lee Aberdeen just cruising along through the rest of the pack. There's so many Formula 3 cars here. It's really hard to keep up with who's doing what. And as we continue on here with Stuart Milne there in car number 49, he's made his way up to 5th position, down to 5th position, shall I say, looking like he's lost a couple of places there off the start. Now he's going to try and challenge Matt Lubscher here, and Reece Saunders has managed to get his way up to 3rd position off the start, and Stuart Milne just managed to claim back that 4th position. Here we go now into Blanchemont. There's cars two side by side here as they now go into the bus stop. Who's going to come out on top? We're watching Stuart Milne here, but he's got cars all around him. Oh, we've got somebody who's late on the brakes on the outside. It looks like it's the car of number 19 dropping down the order a little bit. That was possibly Ryan Annals, I'm not sure. We'll come back to that in a minute, or Dave Flock, I think. But look at the lead that Jerome Lamy's got. He's absolutely charging out ahead now, and the rest of these guys have just got to play catch up with the likes of Lee Aberdeen now up into 5th position, and there's Josh Wilson, we're just with into La Source. Incredibly great driving from all these guys, and I don't think we've seen an incident through this first lap as they come over the line now for the run back up the hill. We're going to stay here with Josh Wilson because he's under incredible pressure from Stuart Milne behind. Stuart Milne has been fighting for positions throughout this, and he's going to manage to get it side by side with that yellow and blue almost Swedish livery car of Josh Wilson as they go side by side at the Kemmel Straight, but they're not short of company with the likes of Sean Barnett and Alex Hopkins and others behind. Look at this, going side by side into Les Combes, and it's so close between these guys. As we ride on board with Josh Wilson, a great view we've got here from Track Cams 22, who have been providing us with the camera angles for a lot of our races. He goes down the inside here on the right-hander. Josh Wilson's got it under control. He's got a great line there. Is he going to be able to hold it together? I think he's still just a little bit too far behind. a bit wide there on the exit, but I think he's going to be able to keep it together for the moment. Yeah, he's kept the position ahead of Stuart Milne, and he's still going to be stuck behind the likes of Lucia ahead, who is just starting to grow a bit of a gap. So it looks to me like this fight with Wilson, Milne, Hopkins and Barnett that we've got in the middle here is possibly going to be slowing down the pack, and that's not going to help their chances if they want to catch up with the top 5. Now, Josh Wilson hanging on incredibly well here. Stuart Milne looking left and right around the back end of Josh Wilson's car, just trying to find his way through. Now, we've got a little bit of a replay here from Rhys Saunders.
That was him overtaking Sam Hermer there. I just thought it was worth doing because, you know, Hermer's been dominating this league and he's down to 3rd this race. He's looking a bit vulnerable.
What has happened to Hermer? Jerome Lamy got a fantastic start, put up a great fight, and that's obviously led Hermer to drop a position, but I think he's just retaken that possibly. No, he's having a good old fight into the bus stop here, and yet he's got it back past Rhys Saunders. Again, Rhys, who started 6th, up 3 positions now. He's put up a hell of a fight now, hasn't he? And he's going to weave around a little bit there behind Sam Hermer as they head into La Source. But this is allowing Jerome Lamy to just kind of start to grow his gap a little bit more there in car 16. And really great to see Jerome with a start like that. And he now hasn't really got many worries apart from putting in nice, clean, fast laps and making no mistakes. He can let these guys behind him, the likes of Sam and Rhys, fight away. And then there's even quite a gap then between Rhys and Lee by the looks of it. So just looking at the order, I think that we're going to be in for an interesting race here at the front of the grid. Now here's Sam Hermer under pressure again. It looks like Rhys Saunders, he's managed to get it up the inside there, and look who he's done it. Yeah, absolutely great move there from Rhys. And is he going to be able to hold it together now with Sam pushing him hard from behind? And let's see what he can do down the hill. Can he defend hard here? Car number 91 under extreme pressure, and Sam doesn't want to give up that place too hard if he can. I mean, there's a lot of laps left. Well, I say a lot. There's 11 laps left to go in this race, Chris. And they don't want to be throwing it away too early with a battle that ends up with damage on either one of those cars.
No, precisely. And Jerome Lamy will be begging these two to continue fighting the way they have. I mean, it's impressive they're only 2 seconds behind him, considering how close they've been this entire time. And it's impressive as well, like you say, with the gap back to Lee Aberdeen and Matt Laubscher, who are themselves having a mini battle. The pace of these top guys is absolutely astonishing, considering how many cars have had to navigate. I mean, that bus stop outbraking on lap 1 is the only real mistake we've seen from any of the top 15 in these opening moments. It's just absolutely incredible.
Last lap times for our top 3, a 2:11.32 for Jerome Lamy, followed by a 2:11.77 for Sam Hermer, and then followed by Rhys Saunders, who has put in a 2:12 on his last lap. Now, we're just having a little look further down the pack at 11th place. This is James Cockram fighting for positions as they enter the final stages of this lap, and he's under a lot of pressure there. Car 44, there's number 31 there, Rudy Marai, looking to go around the outside. He's not really got the job done there, and now he's going to be under some pressure from the cars behind him. If we can go maybe to Rudy, it looks like Nathan Willoughby, Mitchell Webb and the likes behind him are all going to be looking to get round. There's that orange papaya and blue car making it up the inside of La Source. Well done there. That was a great move from Nathan Willoughby on Rudy Marai, and we've seen a lot of this going on throughout the race. This is fantastic stuff, Chris. We've got absolute wheel-to-wheel action. Oh, that's very, very close. They go side by side up the hill into Eau Rouge. It looks like Nathan Willoughby's come out a little bit better off potentially there than Rudy has, but they're still only about, well, I was going to say about half a car length apart, but it looks like Rudy really, really keen to get past. He's getting up the inside now of Nathan. Nathan giving him not much room there. Well, plenty of room really, but he's making his position well aware on the track, and he's just gone a bit too deep there, and that's lost him the position into Lake Coombe, and Rudy Marai gets his way back through, and now it's going to be down to him to try and chase his way back up to the rear end of James Cockram if he can. Let's go to a little replay here of Sam Hermer, Chris. What's happened here? Got past Rhys again?
He's managed to get past Rhys, same thing as last lap, but the roles reversed this time. So again, Jerome Lamy will be laughing all the way to the finish line if this continues. Although he's only got a 1.5 second lead, so there's still plenty of time for shenanigans. And as we see, any of, I'd say, the top 7 or 8 could win this at the moment, because there's so much racing still to go. And the quality tonight has been absolutely fantastic.
Just looking through some of the Twitch comments, we've got "Let's go Rhys, go bowlers," and then we've also got "Let's go Saunders, let's go So we've got a lot of people that are rooting for Reese this evening in the race. We're going to go over to Josh Wilson now, still in his battle with Stuart Milne at the moment. So it seems like we've got little pockets of kind of duels going on across the field. And then in some cases, obviously, where those duels are holding up people further in the pack, there's a lot of pressure from behind. These Formula 3 cars, a little bit of a mistake, obviously, will lose you a lot of pace as we see Josh Wilson looking to just defend that inside line. Is he going to be able to do it? No, he's not. Stuart Milne's had a great exit out of there. And Stuart Milne, oh, Josh Wilson, a spin in the bus stop. He's going to try and turn it around desperately, but oh, he nearly got it beached on that sausage curb as a little bit of a reversing manoeuvre. And he's going to have to wait for, he's just dinked the wall there. That's a shame. Hopefully that's no damage for him. I don't see anything on the screen, but he's had to watch a lot of cars go past him there. And that is a really unfortunate incident for Mr. Wilson. Oh, we've got a few cars with contact there at the back of the field. That is the source by the looks of it. And we've got cars on the middle of the track. Hopefully everyone's going to get around those in a minute. We'll go through a little bit of a replay of that as soon as we can, as we currently go back to James Cockram chasing Nathan Willoughby up Eau Rouge. Here we go. We're just going to go to a replay.
This might be, that's the aftermath of it. So you have to go and find the actual crash.
Edmund Webb did quite well there to avoid that, I think, didn't he? There was obviously a couple of cars there in the middle of La Source. Oh, we've got one off the track there that also had a bit of an incident on the grass.
Catching the tail end of it again. Yep, it's the number 31 had the crash, which it's a struggle because that's really rare. So we need to try and find. I think he's just lost it on the exit of La Source, perhaps.
Let's have a little look here. So here's Rudy. He's got the he's got nobody really challenging him here, and then he goes into La Source. Oh, and he spins it round, and then who is it that clips him? Oh, car number 24. That's Ryan Arnells, I believe. That might have done that. So that's a shame there from the guys to see. Obviously, not the kind of thing that we want to happen in these races, but unfortunately, a fairly innocent mistake there from Rudy, just in the same way that Josh Wilson was under a lot of pressure, obviously, into the bus stop, and he managed to spin it round as well. So a shame, but nonetheless, great racing that we have seen from Rudy throughout this race. Now, we're back with James Cockram, car number 44, and he's chasing down Nathan Willoughby. He's currently running in P9, so this is a top 10 battle that we've got here. Looks to me like the gap isn't really closing up too much at the moment. He's sticking to the back of him, but he's not quite found the place to make the manoeuvre. Hopefully with a bit of slipstream here into Blanchemont, he might even be able to have a little look into the bus stop. Let's go on and have a look at them now. It looks like Nathan going to go for the defensive line, possibly, and James Cockram not quite being able to get it. He's got probably the better line for the exit here, and let's see if he can keep it on the back of Nathan's car. He can, by the looks of it, which means he might be here to make a challenge into La Source. Is he going to make a move to the outside? He is. Nathan's going to try and cover the inside. Is that a wise move? I think it is. It looks like Nathan's managed to get that done. Maybe a little bit more exit speed there from James. No, not at all, actually. It looks like Nathan's got a great exit there, and that's perhaps set him up for a nice clean run up the hill with not too much pressure from James. It might be that they get a little bit closer together, obviously, with that toe as they go up the Kemmel Straight, but not as close as they had been, or at least they hadn't looked that close, obviously, as they were into the bus stop. Now, that's great defensive driving from Nathan. Nathan's not somebody that I've followed in any of the previous iRacing league races. Oh, look here. James Cockram looking to the inside, but Nathan's having absolutely none of it. James isn't anywhere near close enough to make that move, and he's going to have to be patient for now as we've got 8 laps to go. Maybe the desperation's just starting to set in, Chris.
Yeah, perhaps. And while we're watching that, we've just missed Ryan Empringham and Mitchell Webb swapping positions on the Kemmel Straight throughout there. They're just behind. Again, it might be worth for them just to cooperate a bit more here, because they're very equally matched in terms of speed, and they can just try and get onto the back of that Willoughby Cockram battle, because then you get a bit of a trade developing then. And one other driver I was going to mention, and we can go to him now actually, is Jack Relf. He unfortunately has had a crash, but despite that, he's still made 14 positions to get up to 18th place. He was up in 15th, I believe, until he had that crash. I'm sure he won't appreciate me highlighting it, but we can go and have and see what happened there. So this was him charging through the field, braking very late, and oh, what's happened there? Oh, he's done the same thing Josh Wilson did. He's just put the power down a little bit too early. It's so easily done. I mean, these are top quality drivers. It's so easily done. But Jack is still carving his way through the field, so we might be able to catch up with him later if he can get up to Colin Nicol and Marcus Hudson, who are having a fight just up the road with Paddy Bennett.
as you say, top quality drivers, but when you're in a racing scenario with the level of pressure that's obviously happening here, mistakes do happen. As we just go over now to Colin Nicol, who's putting up a bit of a challenge here for car number 18. Sorry, not Colin Nicol. Is that Colin Nicol?
Yeah, it's Colin Nicol with Marcus Hudson.
Yeah, Colin Nichols has managed to get ahead. Yeah, that's it. So Marcus Hudson having to defend quite hard here. Colin looking incredibly racy. Let's see what he can do into the next section of the circuit. So as we go through the bus stop here, he should have a nice clear run here behind Marcus Hudson, obviously up the pit straight here. But the bit that we're really going to be interested in is a little bit later on as they come round La Source. We're going to have to go back to the front though, because look at this, the gap between Jerome Lamy and Sam Hermer has closed up completely. So all that fighting between Rhys Saunders and Hermer is going to come down to nothing now, because look, the gap has grown and Jerome Lamy under extreme pressure. Sam Hermer, obviously an incredibly quick driver, and there's nothing that Jerome can do about it there. Jerome's had to concede the place through the corners there. Oh, Sam goes a little bit wide there, the back end going out, that's going to lose him some time. And Jerome fancies his chances, possibly having a little look at the inside. No, he's not going to try it there. A bit too risky for Jerome after having such a great race so far. There's no reason for him to put obviously a front wing or a wheel in any kind of jeopardy, because he wants to finish this race with 7 laps to go. Now, Jerome, brilliant race so far, a great start from him, and it almost looked like he might run away with it until Sam obviously managed to grow that gap a little bit and make his way back into a position of strength here at the front. Behind these guys, we've got Rhys Saunders and Lee Aberdeen, and then Matt Lubscher in 5th. So Lee Aberdeen, I believe, up a few places so far. We could just have a little look through the grid now. I think we've got some winners and losers here. So if SDK is telling me the truth, or actually I'm going to hang on for a minute, because it looks like Rhys Saunders under the pressure from Lee Aberdeen, and I'm really keen to see if Lee Aberdeen can make his way onto the podium with the manoeuvre here. Is he going to be brave enough into the bus stop? No, I don't think so. He's not going to risk it here. He knows the game. He doesn't want to get himself into any trouble, but he's got a great exit out of the bus stop. And let's have a look now, because I think, yeah, he's fancying his chances. He's not really too bothered about the toe by the looks of it, is he, on the pit straight? But as they enter La Source, he's got a nice tidy entry there, and I think he's definitely got the better exit, hasn't he? I think Rhys Saunders, is he going to... I don't believe that you get a slowdown for going that wide there, do you, Chris?
Not anymore, I don't think. There are still places you can, but obviously Spa's one of the tracks that's had an overhaul with the off-track system. So you can now actually drive this track a bit more aggressively than you would have been able to 2 months ago, which, I mean, Spa is a joy at the best of times, but to be able to actually properly go balls to the wall here, it's just such a pleasure to drive at the moment. But Aberdeen not able to make use of the draft through the Kemmel Straight, although you can see how much he closes up through the chicane here. But is he going to be able to pull the same kind of move that Hermer did the last lap? I've not seen anyone pull that kind of move aside from Hermer. The sheer confidence he had to go around the outside through Rivage last lap. I've not seen an overtaking manoeuvre like that on iRacing in a long time. And I think just to cause some confusion, let's go and watch a battle with 2 people with nearly identical names. We've got Edmund Webb and Mitchell Webb.
I was about to say the Mitchell and Webb look then, but that's not what we're watching here, is it?
Mitchell has made comments about he's had that for his whole life, so I've only made the one comment so far.
Well, I mean, nonetheless, comments aside, the action that they're providing for us now is definitely TV worthy. As we stay on board, if we stay on here with Mitchell Webb, let's see what he can do behind Edmund here. So, car number 92 under a lot of pressure. He's going to be having to defend hard from car number 30. So let's have a little look. That's probably the better way to refer to them, isn't it, by the car numbers rather than the surnames in this, or should I say Webb without an E and Webb with an E? Maybe that's the distinguishing factor here.
It's just hard enough with nearly 3 dozen cars on the track, let alone when their names are becoming quite similar as well.
Absolutely, yeah, all the same car, so we can't say, oh, the Audi or the Porsche, can we?
No.
So the pressure still very much on, but not quite ready for a manoeuvre. Looks like slightly different lines, pushing the limits here, but into the bus stop, we could see something here. Webb on Webb, car 30 behind, looking to the outside. That's forced Edmund into a little bit of a different line, but I don't think that Mitchell has been able to do anything about that, really. He put the pressure on, which forced Edmund into a slightly different entry-exit kind of line for the bus stop, but it hasn't played to Mitchell's benefit at all. So as they enter La Source, he's still managed to hang right onto the back, and I expect the next move we're going to see is either going to be up the hill or at the top of it.
Yeah, this does seem to have been the best place to try and line up a manoeuvre. If you can get a good exit out of La Source, just stick right behind the car through, through here.
Here we go.
And then, come alongside. Has he come alongside too early? Although, no, he's actually got the straight line advantage. Perhaps Chris Foskett up the road is just providing that little bit of a boost. He's only a second up the road. He was part of this, but I think that's a slight netcode contact. It's very unfortunate. It does seem to have damaged Edmund Webb's card. He looked like he'd made it unscathed, but he's unfortunately lost a few seconds there, and hopefully not lost too much damage, because it will cost you so much time in this car. And I think let's watch a replay of Nathan Willoughby overtaking James Cockram, just because he's got some cheerleaders in the Twitch chat. I'm sure they'll be pleased to see this. On the inside here, is that into Rivage as well?
That is absolutely, yeah. And then they enter No Name. They're absolutely nose to tail there. And then Nathan just running a little bit wide there into No Name. Great move though from Nathan, as you say, into Rivage. We're going to go back to Nathan now as we continue to follow me. Nathan, if SDK is telling me the truth, is up 9 places in this race, which he's going to be very, very pleased with, I'm sure, as he runs around the track there in the papaya and blue McLaren-esque livery that he's running this evening. So a brilliant race so far. Hermer has now got a 4/10 gap between him and Lamy. Behind them, Rhys Saunders and Lee Aberdeen still fighting out hard. But I think we need to stick with this battle here for a minute, Chris, because it's really starting to heat up as they enter into the bus stop. James Cockram looking to the outside, but not able to do anything. Nathan quite comfortable, I'd say, with his line, and he's got a decent exit. The gap hasn't really grown or shortened at all there between these guys as they head now over the old start finish straight into La Source. Cockram looking to the outside, but I don't think he's anywhere near being able to make that move. So Nathan obviously defending the inside line vigilantly.
Yeah, I mean, James is an incredibly talented driver. I think he's not quite taking the right line around La Source. He's being, I think, very careful and patient with the driver in front, because the closing speeds around there, I've done it myself in the Formula Renault, although he got a very good run, actually. We're talking complete... I can't finish that sentence. He's got alongside Nathan now. So we obviously don't know what we're talking about. James has got a very good toe and has very cleanly... I think he's going to make that stick. He's already a few car lengths clear.
He is, absolutely. It looks like Nathan's just almost given up that position a little bit. It didn't look like he put up much of a fight, but maybe James's run was just so strong that he couldn't do anything about it.
Yeah, now, perhaps. Sorry. Yep.
No, you're okay. Go on, continue.
I was going to say, Jack Ralph, well, I was bigging him up earlier. He's now up 18 places, so that spin hasn't stopped him, and he is now right on the back of Edmund. Oh, no, he's got Marcus Hudson right behind him, I'm afraid. I think he's just overtaken him. But Edmund Webb, with potentially some damage, is next up the road, so he might not quite be done with that. Maybe we can. Yeah, we can watch the replay of that. So again, it's another Kemmel straight overtake. It is the safest and most sensible place to overtake. He's chosen to go on the inside here, or rather Marcus Hudson hasn't defended it, which costs him less time. It really does depend on the driver's priorities. There's not really a right or wrong answer with it. It depends how early or how late into the race you are as well, because you're going to defend a lot more strongly if it's the last lap, for example.
Jerome Lamy hasn't let this gap slip too much at the minute, has he? Still keeping within half a second here of Sam Hermit at the front. I'm sure we're going to see these guys fighting all the way to the end with only 4 laps. Well, I'm guessing it's going to be now 3 laps to go as they cross over the line. So I'm sure we're going to see another 3 laps of wheel-to-wheel, or at least bumper to wing racing. Now, here's Lee Aberdeen looking to make his way onto the podium. He's been hanging onto the back of Saunders for a little while now. We've watched a couple of times, I think, them switch places on the timing tower, but as usual, he's got that straight line speed here and the toe. This is almost like watching the Formula 3 at Watkins Glen last season, Chris, with the amount of straight line overtakes they're trying to make here. But Lee Aberdeen not really able to make much of a difference there, but he has kept it incredibly close to the back of Saunders as they just go round. Who's that they've just gone round there? Is that...
it was a back marker. I don't know who it was. We can get the track map up, actually, and we can have try and have a guess from that.
let's stay with Lee for a minute. So Lee, obviously, putting up a hell of a fight here, wanting to get himself onto the podium, maximise the points that he can get out of this race to put himself as high up the league table as possible. So we've got the track map there for you now on screen to the right. You should be able to see that, viewers. It looks like car is at 26.
Position 26. So it would have been Mitchell Webb, I believe.
Okay, so they're going to come up to position 25 in a moment. So the leaders have already gone past car 25, or position 25, which is Sean Dunn, I believe. Shane Dunn, sorry, my mistake. On just judging from what SDK is telling me. Now, Lee Aberdeen here, the gap it hasn't really grown at all, has it? He's absolutely glued to the back. And now the next question is he going to be brave enough for something into the bus stop? With only 3 laps to go, now's the time to start making the slightly more dicey moves. He's going to head to the inside, but he's not quite brave enough. No, he's let Reese have that one. And but I think, I'd say that Lee's got the better exit there. But again, the gap staying quite static, really. He's not managed to close it in any more than he had. Looking to the inside, trying to give Reese something to worry about there as they now head into La Source. Both nice and clean through there, and Lee's going to have another chance now to try and do this on the Kemmel Straight. But only 2 laps to go as our leaders have now gone over the start-finish line. We're obviously into the very, very depths of this race, and it's going to be over soon. So someone's got to make a move soon if they want to be in the top spots. Now, Sam Hermer appears to have grown that gap. I think we're not going to see much more between Sam Hermer and Jerome Lamy as we just have a little look here at Nathan Willoughby weaving left and right. Is he trying to give James?
No.
Oh, he's just tapped James there on that replay. Oh, the two drivers have been fighting for so long, and no, Nathan's lost the front wing there. That's going to cost him dearly in terms of pace. But is he going to bother going for the fast repair? No, he's not. He's going to go round another lap and see if he can make it. I think that car is going to be incredibly challenging to drive, obviously without that front wing. And I'd be surprised if we don't see, obviously, Cochrane get round Willoughby potentially in the next lap. Now, we are looking a little bit ahead now at Stuart Milne. He is fighting with the likes of Alex Hopkins, and ahead of him Sean Barnett by the looks. So these guys have been stuck together for a little while. It's a group of 3 cars fighting, and they're going to be going after basically the same position here, number 20, 49 and 32. What do you think? Who's going to come out on top here, Chris? This is incredibly racy stuff, and one mistake from the front runner could, in theory, wipe out all 3 of them if they get a bit too hairy into the last couple of laps.
Yeah, it's sort of, if you're Alex Hopkins at the back of this 3, it's going to be a lot harder for you to get past Milne because he's got the draft in front of him from Barnett. I'd say if you look at the sort of historical results between these 3, Milne has had the sort of most pedigree in the IRUK League. I'd say Alex Hopkins is already, I think this would be his highest finishing position with us, so he might be quite happy just to sit behind and get 8th. Maybe hope these 2 have a Willoughby Cochrane and go into each other. In fact, it looks like Hopkins and Milne might be teammates. They're running the same livery. So are we going to have a bit of cooperation as we go into the last lap with Hermer with his 1.7 second gap? He's not going to be under any threat over the Kemmel Straight. I'd say of the 3, it does look like Hopkins and Milne are the closer of the 2. But as we were saying a minute ago, Milne's got that draft ahead from Barnett. So I don't know if that's going to mean Hopkins really has a chance unless he pulls out an absolute blinder of a last lap. But these are the closest 3 cars on the circuit now.
Final lap now. Maybe there's some team orders going on in the middle of the pack. Maybe a little bit of you leave me alone, see if I can get something done on the last lap. Who knows? But if you're a real racer, you don't want to give up any opportunity. And look at the difference there. Oh, is that team order? Is that an overtake we've just seen? It looked like that was a bit slow there from car 82. But actually, no, they're just going for a bit of side-by-side racing into the last lap. Great stuff between these guys. Fantastic bit of action. And Stuart Milne now, the car that has ended up behind in this battle as they go obviously into Rivage here and No Name. Brilliant stuff, nice and clean. We've barely seen any incidents really with these F3 guys, which is a beautiful contrast to what I'd seen from the YouTube and Reddit clips that I've seen this week. So I'm really, really glad, almost elated to see the racing that we've had tonight. The gap at the front, though, between Hermer and Lamy is now 1.8 seconds, and that really tells you something about the pace that Sam has round this track in this F3 car. No wonder he's at the front of the leaderboards as we continue to watch Alex Hopkins here and Stuart Milne for 7th position battle. Barnett ahead doesn't appear to be too worried at the minute, so it's going to be down to these guys fighting for 7th and 8th really as they enter the last portions of the lap. It is the closest battle that we've now got on your screen. So as they enter Blanchimont here, side by side, it looks to me like Alex has managed to hold it ahead. No, still side by side. Who's going to take the inside line? Car 49 here got the inside line, and I think, is that going to be Stuart Milne that makes it there? Oh no, right to the line this is going to be. They've still got one more corner to go after this. They've got Eau Rouge to get past, and La Source, my mistake, to get round. And I don't think that either of them want to give up that position at a minute. Here we go, the last corner now, and it looks like neither of them are willing to give up that position. It's going to be right to the line as they go over. No gap between these guys at all. Fantastic racing, and we have to say a big congratulations to our winner this evening, which is Sam Hermer. Great race from Sam, obviously having a lot of fighting and wheel-to-wheel action in the initial stages, and then he managed to claw it back and obviously overtake Lamy, who managed to come in 2nd position. Great race from Jerome. We really enjoyed watching that. And also then Rhys Saunders in 3rd. A lot of the comments in the Twitch chat for Rhys saying, congratulations Rhys, great racing. A lot of people really glad to see him get through. And Lee Aberdeen in 4th. He put up a hell of a fight, didn't he? We watched Lee really going through it through many portions of this race. But now the rest of the grid's starting to come over, and a really clean race overall, I think, Chris, and plenty of action for us to see.
Yeah, I think, like you were saying, all the sort of media coverage on Reddit or wherever you see these things, Spa has been an absolute death trap in the F3 the last week we've just had. I think it just goes to show if you can race in a league community with people you know and you trust, or at least are much more accountable, even if it's, say, if your first race, although I don't think we had any of our first time drivers cause any incidents tonight. Funnily enough, it was actually our league admin who did look like he had the closest to a, shall we say, protestable incident. Although even that, it was just, these drivers are going absolutely flat out. I'd be lying if I said I haven't locked my brakes into the bus stop before. It's so easily done. It certainly wasn't malicious. We know Nathan wouldn't do something like that. And that's really the only incident I can think of. We obviously had a couple of people lose it through the source, but again, it's so easily done. And yeah, it was probably one of the cleanest races you'll ever see around Spa in real life or on iRacing. It's been an absolute pleasure to commentate on, and it absolutely flew by, I thought. Races throughout the field. I feel bad for the drivers who've had pretty quiet races, and we've not had to cover them really, because it's nice to try and cover as much of the field as possible. We've had some quite good results for people like Alfie McGarity, for example, in 18th. I don't think we've mentioned him once, or Leslie Griffin in 19th have made 8 and 12 positions up respectively. And that's just from clean driving. They've done really well to do that.
With 30 something drivers and only 14 laps, we'd have to give them each 30 seconds a lap of coverage, wouldn't we? So unfortunately, yeah, we've covered the battles, but a great race for everybody there. Really fun to be part of this evening here on Spa. Really glad that I came here tonight, Chris. It was a great little race. So here's your final race results on the screen for you. So we've got Sam Hermer at the front there with 60 points as a result of his win this evening, followed by Rhys Saunders. I thought
it appears that Jerome Laney has taken some sort of time penalty. He's down in 9th with a 37-second gap. So I don't know if there was maybe some off-track issues there or an uncleared black flag or something, because he is there, but he's in 9th. We'll have to clear this up afterwards.
Well, obviously that means that the likes of Rhys and Lee have been promoted obviously to 2nd and 3rd, which means Lee, who was running in 4th, has now got an unexpected podium, pushing Matt Lubscher into 4th position, Sean Barnett in 5th. And then we've got Stuart Milne, Alex Hopkins, Ryan Epringham, Jerome Lamy, Chris Foskett, James Cockram, Edmund Webb, Jack Ralph, Nathan Willoughby down in 14th in the end there, Marcus Hudson, Nathaniel Simpson, Dave Flock, Alfie McGartry, Leslie Griffin, Ryan Annals, and then David Hatton there in 21st, followed by Jeff Randall, Colin Nicol, Mitchell Webb, Shane Dunn, Steve Inskip, Patrick Bennett, Duncan Roberts, Graham Nicol, Josh Wilson in 30th, followed by Rudy Marai, Mark Cardmore, and then Martin Brandon brings up the back of the grid with 33rd position. So unfortunately there for some of the guys, we've got a few that obviously didn't finish there, a few laps down, whether it be through penalties or whether it be through repairs that they've had to go in for the pits. So, but great racing that we've had this evening. It's been absolutely fantastic. So we have to say an enormous thank you to the drivers. They've put on an absolute show for us this evening. It's been really great to watch, but also to all of our viewers there on Twitch and YouTube. We've been watching your Twitch chat comments. Unfortunately, it's really difficult for us to read them all out when we've got so much action happening on the track. But thank you very, very much for every comment that we received there on the Twitch. If you're a subscriber, if you're a new subscriber or a follower, again, thank you very much. Any kind of subscription or viewer interaction really helps boost, obviously, the channel and any kind of future broadcasts that we do. And Chris, I have to say a very, very, very big thank you to yourself, because you've done not only the cameras this evening, but a bit of colour for us. So thank you to yourself.
It's been an absolute pleasure. It's really fun. And to be honest, I loved racing the F3, but it's far more fun to watch more talented drivers absolutely cane it around Spa and the other tracks we've been to and where we're going to. So we've got Zandvoort, then Red Bull, then Silverstone in the F3 next. I think all three tracks are going to provide us with some absolutely fantastic racing.
Well, you just mentioned Silverstone. Obviously, the Formula One was there a couple of weeks ago, and that wasn't without incident. But also, another car that's going to be driving at Silverstone Circuit very, very soon on Thursday evening is going to be the Radicals. So the Radical League, albeit not broadcast, will be at Silverstone on Thursday the 29th. Just to mention a couple of other races that are coming up, we've got Road Atlanta in the Porsche Cup this weekend on Sunday evening. Make sure you join us for the broadcast for that one. And then the week after, we're going to have the GT3s at Long Beach, I believe, on August the 8th. The other race to bear in mind is that tomorrow, I think we've got also the TCR. We've got the touring cars at Donington, just judging from what the league table, the league schedule says at the minute. So again, not one that I believe we're broadcasting at the moment, but nonetheless, one to look out for if you're interested in touring cars and you want to get involved. Head over to www.facebook.com/iRacingUK. You can ask an admin there for an invite to the Discord, and we'll be happy to accept you in to be part of the community. Let's not forget some other social links. We've got the YouTube channel, which is iRacing UK Community. We've got the twitter.com/IRUK_team. And it's the same for Instagram with instagram.com/IRUK_team. Make sure you head over to all the socials to see what's going on, what's coming up in the leagues and on the Twitch channel in the future. But again, a very, very big thank you from Chris and I to all the drivers and viewers this evening. It's been fantastic to watch them race around Spa. And from, I believe, from Chris and I, it's just the last thing to say is a good night. And again, thank you very much